Hey, Coach, how's just as always? How's the health of your team?
Yeah, looks like we'll pretty much have the same lineup we had last game. Yeah, Big Frank hasn't practiced all week. I still haven't heard back anything today if he'll be available. I don't think he will be, and so it'll be the same that we had last game.
And then with Jacob, is he out for the season or what's
That's what it's looking like. That's what it's looking like. We're still waiting on some results of some MRIs and some X-rays, but that's probably where it's looking.
And just how did that happen? Like what was that deal?
He just caught the ball and just jabbed. It was a non-contact injury, and it was to the same foot that he'd hurt in September.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And you said last week with Bryson that it was more of a personal matter.
Yeah, just a personal matter that we're working through together.
Okay.
Yeah.
The low numbers. This is something that you've dealt with all season. Are you adapt at it now? I mean, are you any better with these low numbers? What can you do with having 7 scholarship players?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Like we got to go play, And I like the 7-8 guys we got. I mean, B.J. Roy got in and made a shot, and he's gonna have to play, and we're gonna need him to make shots. We need him to guard, the stuff that he can do, and so it is what it is. It's not worth complaining about. We still got Hana, Zoom, Wesley, Kamari, Nico, made some, steps last game, I thought, and the more I got to find a way to get him more minutes. But everybody's got to produce at a high level with the minutes on the court, and we're going to have to play some funky lineups. We might have to go super small. We might have to go super big. It just kind of is what it is right now.
And then just your thoughts on SC losing their leading scorer, sort of right before this game. Is that a little odd, or just does that affect them, or as you kind of said all year, nobody cares type of deal? You just got to.
Yeah, I give Coach Muss a lot of credit too. They've been banged up. I wouldn't say similar to us, but he lost Rodney Rice too. Who's one of the premier players in the conference, and Chad had missed I think 3 games. And Elijah joined him. He's been here for 12 games. So they've had some kind of mixed up lineups too, and I think he's done a tremendous job with that group. And even their people can say they're on a 5-game losing streak. They played really good teams, and they're playing good basketball. It's kind of like us. They have that 2-minute stretch in each of those games that the game could have gone either way. And so they're playing good basketball. They're really aggressive. They do a tremendous job, as good as anybody in our league at getting the ball, getting to the free throw line, attacking, drawing fouls. They got good offensive rebounders. They're aggressive. So it's just, they're a really good team.
With a little more specifically, with the subtraction of Chad Baker-Mazar and then the addition of Elijah Arenas, how does that change them from the last time you guys saw them when you went down there in December?
Yeah, both teams are completely different. Like I said, they won games without Chad, too. They've played without him, and they've won games and played really well. Even without him playing this year. So they're dynamic, but it'll be a completely different game than it was down there. Both teams, they were undefeated and I think top 25 when we played them down there last time, and it was just a tale of 2 halves. It was just momentum on both sides, and luckily time ran out, for us in that second half. But we made a lot of shots in that second half. I thought it was a lot of the shots that we had in the first half, we just didn't make them, and then it was we made all of them in the second half. And so, momentum's a hell of a thing, in college basketball, and we caught that streak of lightning there in that second half. But it's gonna be a completely different, 2 teams playing tomorrow night.
And then, as we get to the end of the season, Hannes wins his 3rd Big Ten Freshman of the Week award. Is there any one area, maybe more than some others, that you've seen him improve in since he arrived here?
Yeah, he gets better and better. I'm really impressed with how everybody, their whole game plan is for him. It just is. Every team throws multiple guys at him. They double team him, and he just keeps finding ways to get 20 and 10. Which for a 18, 19-year-old kid, is pretty damn impressive. But he plays the right way. Very rarely ever forces a shot. In fact, he's the one guy that needs to force shots. We have a couple guys that are forcing shots that don't need to. He's one guy that needs to. But it's really impressive what he's done, as a true freshman. I think if he gets another double-double, in the next 2 games or in the conference tournament, he'll break, Jared Sullinger's Big Ten record. And so, very impressive what he's done. And especially kind of the way we've, at times had just funky lineups, and we haven't shot the ball extremely well, so teams can really pack the paint on him. And so, really impressed with him, but that's why he's, one of the best players in the country.
2 games left in the regular season, Coach. Obviously, I'm sure you would never say that your team is a finished product, especially with the lineup changes and everything. But what do you need to see from these guys over the last 2 games to look back on and say, like, you're happy with the way that you guys ended the regular season?
Yeah, we got to compete and we got to be connected. The game against Wisconsin, that, like, I haven't seen that team. Like, we are so and I wouldn't say everybody. There was a lot of selfishness that went on, and we corrected that hopefully yesterday in practice and film. And even some players apologized, like they did. They needed to, because it was embarrassing. And you can't play like that. Like, you have to be able to rely on your teammates, and it doesn't matter how many guys we have. Like, the guys on the court, we got to be connected. We have to play together. We have to defend as a unit. We can't just put guys on an island. We can't just play hero ball offensively. First off, we're not good enough to do that. And we showed that when you try to do that, the results aren't very good. And so we have to, screen for each other, pass to each other when we're open, and just everybody take pride in making their teammate better. Not worrying about their own stuff, like make a teammate better. And when you do that, usually you make yourself look better.
Zoom had another good game. He finished strong, had 21 points on Saturday. What do you say from a maturity standpoint and a growth standpoint this year has been for him?
Yeah, I think it's like he's grown a lot, and everybody's seen it. Playing wise, like I thought he played well in the second half. I didn't think he played well at all in the first half. But we need 40 minutes from him. Like at this time of year, your best players you got to get 40 minutes from them. You can't get 20. You can't get 25. And he's too good of a player to have a first half like he did. And and almost just from more of an emotional standpoint, he's got to be more level, as a ball handling guard. But I'm proud of the year he's had. There's been games where he's really, at times carried the scoring load. He's had to handle the ball and that's a lot. Because he's our one guy that can kind of come off ball screens and make plays for other guys. And I think he's done a really good job of handling that responsibility and getting other guys involved at times, and he's improved a lot from last year in kind of picking the spots of when to score and when to pass. Now, it's obviously there's a lot of room for improvement still, but I'm proud of where Zoom's at in his sophomore year.
And also with Frank Kempnong dealing with the injuries, who's really been the guy who's now taken over as the tone setter on your defense with him out?
Yeah, really, Hannes, I'm not really happy with how the rest of them are guarding. I wish I could tell you something different, but I'm not.
I think it's fair to describe your reaction after the Wisconsin game. You were pissed off.
Yeah.
There was a football coach here who they used to have film session. They'd call it Tell the Truth Monday. I'm guessing your film session after that game was kind of similar. Can you describe to me a little bit about the film session and the things that you had to point out?
Yeah, it was, and it's crazy. Like, we actually didn't even show film from the game. It was so bad, I didn't have to show film. They knew it. I met with a couple guys individually. We met as a team. We discussed some of the plays in the game. I had the team tell me what they saw. I had each player tell me, what if you didn't know our team and you just came from Texas and just came and watched Washington play Wisconsin, what would you say about our team? And every person to a man said selfish, not connected, just out there, and that hasn't been us. And I don't know if, like I said, I don't know what a couple of the guys were thinking. And I don't know if they just, if it was too much for them, where they thought like they just had to be put on the cape and be the superhero, we don't need anybody to do that. You know, we just need them to make the right basketball play, get your butt back and defend and rebound. And when we do that, we're pretty good. You know, and I said I've never seen and I still haven't in my 25, 26 years coaching, like seen such a disparity within 3 to 4 days. From our team at Rutgers to our team at Wisconsin. Like we went from passing the ball, throwing it backside, sharing the ball, our bodies were moving, and we were the complete opposite. It was just, I mean, it was two totally different teams. And, you know, in this time of year, you can't have that kind of inconsistency.
What I was kind of seeing, and tell me if I'm off base on this, but, you know, with guys that you had out, you mentioned it seemed like Wes and Zoom felt they needed to put it upon themselves, and I would see them not pass the ball to Nicola, not pass the ball to Cortland, not get it into Lathan, you know, and maybe that has to do with them not being as familiar with them and the chemistry not being there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can make excuses for them. It's a bad play. You know, like you said, you saw it. Everybody in that arena saw it. You know, and they have to trust their teammates. And not just them, like all of our guys have to trust each other. You know, if somebody drives and zooms up, get him the ball. If he's open, like that's where the ball needs to go. We need the ball to find the open shot. And for some of our shot selection, for a couple players, not everybody, because like I said, you know, I said, like if you take Wesley's 1 for 17 out, we were 26 of 48 for the game, 61%. You know, and there was still some, you know, questionable shots in that 48 shots. And so, you know, it's something we just have to relax. You know, like I said, not put the cape on, like play team basketball.
What are you expecting out of USC tomorrow? I mean, do you have an idea? They're just as banged up as you are.
They are, like, they're going to come out hungry. Like, they still got really good players. You know, like I mentioned, the last 5 games, don't look at the losing streak. Like, they're playing good basketball. I thought, you know, the USC-UCLA game, I thought that was a high level, you know, division, like the highest level. Like teams, the energy, the intensity, you could feel it through the screen. Teams were both making big shots. You know, UCLA was playing great at that point. And Donovan Dent came out, I think, in the first half and made 5 threes. You know, if he doesn't do that, USC might win that game. You know, like, now that's why he's one of the best point guards in the country. He does that, but he hadn't done that all year. And so they, you know, Oregon, they're up by, I think, 6 or 7 with a minute left, you know, and had some bad breaks and lost that game. You know, they're up at halftime against Nebraska and playing really well, and then, you know, Chad went down. And so, like, they're playing good basketball. Like, we're gonna get a really hungry, determined USC team coming in tomorrow, because I know they're gonna play with a chip on their shoulder, you know, showing that they're a good team without Chad, because they are.
Last year, you were able to sign Hannes and really keep it on the down low, and no, it didn't leak out.
I wish I could tell you we had another one that we're
That's what I
hiding.
asked.
No,
If
we
you had
don't.
another one.
Yeah, not right now.
Well,
Yeah.
And just one more, just the guys that you have currently.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like Frank maybe get an extra year. Kwamari had a JC year. Any chance Kwamari or any of these other guys that you could possibly get back?
You know what? I don't know right now. Yeah, you know, because Kamari was at Indiana State. You know, then he went JUCO, then to East Tennessee State, and like I said, who knows what NCAA rules are going to be, like what could change in the next 30 days. And so, you know, I really don't know other than Frank.
I know it might be a little too early to talk about this, but as you kind of look ahead to year 3, having a guy like Zoom, who is about all those things that you discussed the other day when you talked about building the future of the program, how important is it to have a cornerstone like that who is from here and so passionate about Washington in this area and bringing this program back to where it once was?
Yeah, like you need it. You know, like we need all the best Seattle kids. You know, we just do. Like state of Washington kids, Northwest. Like we have to, you know, we have to somehow get those kids to want to come here, you know, and be a part and play in the Big Ten, because they do. And, you know, and I mentioned it even last week, like the best teams that have been here have all had that local influence. You know, they've all, like, you know, when you look at, you know, B. Roy and Will Conroy and Nate Robinson and Trey Simmons, like, you can go down the list just with that team. It was like 80% from Washington. And so, like, we need that, you know, and, you know, especially as other than that, like our proximity to players, we're a 3-4 hour flight from anybody, you know, other than here. So, like, we need the talent to be great in Seattle. You know, this program needs the talent in Seattle to be great at the national level, you know, for us to be at our best.
Who takes part in like the senior day stuff, and do you anticipate Frank participating in that?
Yeah, he will. You know, I think it's his third straight senior day that he's participating in, and him, Jacob, Kamari, and then we have some managers also, and so yeah.
Does Frank get another jersey, or does he take the one down from his wall and just sort of bring that back?
You'd have to ask Frank. But no, like he's such an awesome kid, and but he deserves it. It's like, hey, like, I mean, it's almost like every master's degree he gets, we'll celebrate him on senior night. And so, no, he's been awesome.
Hey, for this like final home game, you know, it could be the final game for these fans to like see Hannes, and like you sort of touched on last week, that you don't know what he's gonna do, but just what has it been like to like coach him, to like coach somebody who could be a lottery pick? I think this is your first kid like this, right? To like, I mean, such
First lottery pick. I just had a kid from Montana State that just played for the Cavaliers the other night.
Yeah.
Played against the Knicks.
I mean, but just like such a high level guy. Just what has that been like for you and for this program?
Yeah, it's been awesome, and he has not complained about one shot all year. He doesn't complain when our guards miss him when he's wide open. Like, not one word. Not from his family, not from his agents, nothing. Which is, nowadays, doesn't happen. I have players that shouldn't even be shooting. I shouldn't say I do. There's players around the country that probably shouldn't even be getting shots, complaining about not getting shots. And then you have somebody like him who cleans up everybody's mess. We'll take bad shots and he'll go offensive rebound and put them back. You know, like, he can switch 1 through 4. Like, he does everything. And it's like you could see it early on, even in practice, like how easy, I wouldn't say that, first off, the game's pretty easy for him. Like, it is. Like, he's just naturally a good passer. He's got a naturally good feel. He moves for his size. He goes to offensive rebound just every time. He's just naturally instinctive that way. But just, like, how much he, like, plays for his teammates, how unselfish he is and no ego. Like, that's what makes him special. And to be honest, that's what most GMs and scouts, that's what they love about him. It's not that, like, they don't even talk about the basketball stuff. They just talk about, you know, you can just tell how good of a teammate he is, like, in just how he plays. It could fit anybody.
Yeah, and do you think this might be it, or like I don't even know how to ask this, but like, how will he make his decision? I guess then, like, what do you think it will be based off of?
You know, that would probably be a question for him and his, you know, and his family. You know, I imagine it'll come down to, you know, like most kids, just kind of, they'll go through the process and see kind of where he's going to get, you know, drafted, and then make a decision from there.
Anything else for Coach?
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I know a lot of the guys that you brought in, you know, from the portal, a lot of them signed 2-year deals. Can you talk to us about which guys are on 2-year deals?
I don't think I can. Not until I probably get clearance. But there's a couple that are on 2-year deals. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks.